Alright, so we're back at it again. We're continuing off. This will be episode 10. And what we did last, we came across a decent wreck, minimal defenses on the ship. But we got a nice little surprise in the form of mine drones. Tracking mine drones. So that was fun. Neat little surprise there. But we're going to continue off in this episode, and we're going to finish up scrapping down that ship and putting all the components into our storage. And then we're going to start, well, I haven't decided if we want to drift back to base or if we want to continue out and try to find something in addition to this. Greed probably will be my downfall, but I do kind of want to get more. But I guess that's every pirate, huh? But yeah, we're going to continue off with breaking this down and turning all these wrecked components into nice little additions to our armor. And just like we did with the batteries on the previous ship, I do want to try to weld those to this grid and take those back in one piece if possible. But we'll see how that goes. And God, hitbox to size ratio, or like hitbox size to weight ratio? Windows are absolutely insane. Holy crap. Like, I took down what, like 6 or 7 windows and it almost filled my inventory, just that alone. That's kinda crazy. So I guess if you want a light ship, skip out on any large windowed bridges.
Inventory full.
Jesus. So much scrap. This is wonderful. It's annoying to collect, but God, it's wonderful.
Energy low. Energy critical.
You know what I just realized? The voice between energy low and energy critical sounds completely different. I don't know if it was the same person who did the voice for both of them, or if it might be different people, or if maybe like one of those voices was recorded like later on, you know, like an addition to the vocal warnings for your suit battery or whatever, but they have completely different tones and like sound overall. I mean, that might be done on purpose to kind of give a little bit more of a serious tone to the energy critical versus energy low, but it's I never noticed it before, but there's definitely a difference in the the sound and tone of the voice between those two voice lines.
Inventory full.
I feel like whatever the completed version of this ship would look like, I feel like it would be really cool looking. But judging by the fact that we've initially found it as a floating piece of junk in space, I imagine the functionality probably isn't quite there. Some of these blocks like being so deformed like this, it almost makes me want to go into the settings and turn the damage models off, just so that way I can actually see where to grind, instead of like trying to grind just a exploded hitbox. Also, that's pretty annoying. It just kind of shoots me out. I guess because I was intersecting a part of the deformation. But yeah, it's almost annoying enough for me to turn deformations off.
Energy low.
But we had to go almost 80,000 meters away from our base to actually start seeing signals. So that's something to keep in mind for later adventures when we go out to try to find scrap. We're going to have to go out a decent distance before we start seeing some signals popping in. And even then, we only seen two, and one of them was a station, which I didn't want to mess with. Ooh, perfect. More of the zombie set. I kind of want to get that full set. That would be pretty nice. There's only like a handful that I actually want the full set for, and the zombie is one of them. Also the Pharaoh set I think looks really cool, so I'd kind of like to get that. And as far as like the magma sit goes, I don't know if that's tools exclusively, or if there's also a what's it called, like a suit for the magma sit. But realizing now, oh, there it is. Okay, I was about to lose my my ship again. Let me go ahead and set a GPS when we get back, just so I don't. Because, like, we have a beacon on it now, and I could be running that, but at the same time, our battery situation isn't looking too fantastic. So, let me finally try to learn a lesson here and do a GPS marker. I will forget again. I know I will. It's inevitable. Ooh, is this perfect condition? Yes, it is. Alright, so, as far as thrusters, we can grind off these 3 sets of armor and bring those thruster packs down, and then do armor on the bottom, and that way we could extend the forward, or the, yeah, the forward thrust. The reverse thrust, what we can do, probably grind these down, put another thruster below it, set that to be 4, have 6 forward, 4 reverse. I think that would be fine. Upwards thrust, I would like to probably right here. Grind that and put one more down on either side. Why is this off? What's up with this? Should I actually turn? Okay. I didn't realize that there was a thruster that wasn't set up in the group apparently. But anyway, let's get back to salvaging. Also, I'm not sure how the alarm that I have set on the computer now sounds in the recording. I didn't actually watch through it. I just finished that recording, started uploading, and then came right back in to do the next video. So leave down a comment if the alarm sound is too loud or anything like that. I can try to adjust that in the alarm settings. I can probably actually make it silent and just have it do the pop-up. And that should be good enough, as long as we're not in the middle of like intense combat and the pop-up happens. But yeah, just let me know how that alarm sound comes across in the video. I'm too lazy to go back and check, and I'm not gonna watch the video through YouTube because I don't want to basically give myself a free view by watching my own content. I can go back and look at the recording. I didn't delete the recording yet, so I can do that, but I'm not going to stop this episode just to go and do that. So, like I said, let me know how it comes across. If it's too loud or anything, I can try to adjust that. Also, if I'm hot micing and start vaping and that sound comes across, I'm sorry about that. It's just a hard habit to break, and I'm getting into a bad habit of hot micing, like just holding down the button for the mic even after I stop talking, and I need to kind of get away from doing that, but it's going to be a bit of a challenge. So again, sorry if the vape sound is too
Inventory full.
too strong. But I promise you, my nicotine intake is is very heavy, so my body is suffering more than your ears
Energy
from that
critical.
sound. But it should be fine, hopefully. I say as my body is currently developing cancer, more than likely. But let me dump that and start charging my suit before I run out of power. Now we got another unknown signal. Let's go ahead and hit that one up. Now we got a GPS marker, so I'm not so scared to lose my shit. Although, it may still happen anyway. Be my luck, I'll be out here and then go off on a side tangent about the markers and then accidentally delete it. Nope, I went past. There we go. Come on, more zombie stuff, please. Fuck. Oh, also, while I was watching the live stream for the most recent update, the Fieldwork DLC, they did talk about like the Space Engineers console versions, and apparently there are no unknown signals in the console version, or at least if there are no skins attached, and that's down to the way that the signals are implemented. It's done via the Steam sort of servers and stuff. So, as far as I understand, they want to have the skins and all added to console, but the way it's implemented just doesn't allow for it right now. So that might be something they may change a few years down the line, but as for right now, it seems console's just not going to have the option to get those skins like that. Just kind of unfortunate, but luckily I'm not on console. I do have a PS4 and a PS3, but I don't really play on there anywhere near as much as I used to since I've gotten the my first like nice gaming PC was pretty good. I still have that actually. I bought it from a friend from high school who had built his own and used it for a couple years but needed some money, so he sold it off at a decent enough price. It wasn't like way undervalued, like, you know, I still had to pay a good amount for it. I think it was like 1,500 or something like that I paid, but it was a pretty decent PC. I think it had just about the best he could get at the time, but it had been a few years, so those parts kind of depreciated in value through both use and the market value of those parts going down, just due to new releases and age. But it was actually still a pretty good PC. I think it was an i9 9000K or something like that processor. It had a decent amount of storage. I ended up upgrading it with I think it was a 6TB hard drive that I had put in there. And then I had to buy a GPU for it because he had already sold the GPU separate and stuff, but I got the 1070 superclock think I paid $500 for that, but at the time it was basically on par with the 1080, which would have been like $200 more. So it was the same, roughly the same, like processing power wise, but just a lot cheaper for the 1070 super clock. But currently my brother has that PC. I gave it to him and stuff when I got the newer one that I'm running on now, which I bought from a friend down in Illinois, and I paid $1,200 for this PC, and he shipped it over. It had a little bit of damage to the case from the shipping, but nothing too bad. The glass panel luckily didn't break, but the bottom corner right around where the power supply is, that got bent up a good bit, so the like the glass panel doesn't fit on there perfectly tight like it should. I mean, it still goes on, but it's just a little wonky.
Energy critical.
Could get a new case for it, but I don't want to do the work of tearing it back down and everything again. I did rearrange some of the internals on it, just to get the coolers to fit a little bit better. Also to flip around some of the fans, because they were set up kind of the opposite of like how I like to have my PC set up. I prefer to run positive pressure instead of negative pressure in it. Basically all that means is there's more fans pulling air in than what's pushing air out, which causes a slight increase in air pressure inside of the case, which means that in like all the little cracks and stuff of the case where it's not airtight, positive pressure would be coming out, so you'd have a very slight amount of airflow coming out through all the cracks, which means any bits of dust and stuff like that will be less likely to get sucked into the computer, so you have to clean it slightly less often. But the way he had it set up, I think it was just factory default like that, because the guy in Illinois I bought this PC from, he bought a pre-built and just left it the way that they had sent it, pretty much, aside from taking the internal packing material out, which is a very good idea. If you ever buy a pre-built PC from anywhere, he got his from CyberPower, but a lot of times the tower will come with packing inside of it to help support the graphics card and all that in transit. Please, if you ever buy one like that, remove that, because otherwise it will overheat, it will not run well, and you will be wondering, why is my PC not working? I spent a couple $1,000. Why is it not working like it should, when all it is just overheating due to the internal packing? I've had a friend
full.
Do that. But yeah, certainly something to consider, especially if you've never bought a PC before but are planning to, or you know, whatever. Personally, I don't like pre-builts all that much. If I'm buying it myself, getting it like second-hand at a discount price is perfectly fine, because you're not overpaying for the parts. But most pre-built PCs, it's definitely they're going to charge you way more, just for like having to actually assemble everything, and then if they're getting like branded parts that don't really need to be branded, they can charge you extra for that and stuff like that. Really, it's just much better to go to somewhere like Newegg or PC Part Picker or whatever, and get your parts from there, and then you can buy the parts when they go on sale and stuff, and actually save a lot of money just building it piece by piece. Even if you just like buy all the parts at the market value at the time, and you just get the parts and then assemble yourself, that's still going to be a lot cheaper than getting a pre-built, even if you have like all the same parts as like a particular pre-built on like CyberPower's website or something like that. You could build a lot of the PCs they have pre-built for cheaper just from the fact that you're buying the individual parts. There you go. We've got that almost entirely taken down. We just have this one battery here that I want to weld onto the ship. So let's go and grab the weld pad, and we'll grab material for 2 of these. If I can get in here. There we go. And I want to put 1 pad on the bottom of that battery. And I want to put 1 pad right here. There we go.
Energy low.
And then grab this one. And now we just want to move the ship up to grab that battery. And we want to try to do this kind of delicately. Be my luck, I'm gonna fuck it up. Break some shit. But I'm gonna try my best to not. Probably should add another downwards thruster, but just tapping it seems to be fine enough. I can go like this and zoom in just a little bit here so I can kind of see what I'm doing a little bit better. Forward some. Okay. There we go. And I think that probably put our ship. Nope, okay, it's still a ship. Now we are actually moving. Yeah, okay. Sometimes when you connect stuff up to like a static grid, it'll convert the entire grid to a static grid. But I guess just a single battery didn't do that, so should be fine there. Now then, let's check our inventory on the ship. And let's see here, so we're 15, 15, 15, 15. Okay, so we're basically capped out on what we can carry actually. So that means it's time to turn around to the hideout and fly off to the hideout. Also, we get to get a feel for the acceleration with full cargo load and about, I'd estimate 35% of the armor finished. So we're going to head off towards the hideout, and we're going to try to get up pretty much to max speed here. So acceleration has taken a heavy hit. About 1 meter per second on our acceleration. So that's pretty slow. It'll take us about 100 seconds roughly to get to 100 meters per second. It's not quite that perfect, but it's somewhere around in there. Yeah, that's about a minute to get to 60 meters per second roughly, so yeah, I'd estimate a meter per second for our increase in velocity. Let me turn that ship GPS marker off. And by off I mean delete it. Yeah, we're just going to drift over to the hideout and hopefully not wreck anything. on the way back. One thing that I noticed when I turned on the turrets, the front turret moving around actually torqued the entire ship a little bit. I don't know if anybody noticed that when we were in the last episode when we were using Gatling to take out those 2 mines that were just floating out there. It definitely torqued the entire ship, and I can actually fix that by changing the torque amount on the rotor and the hinge, which I think we're going to do that once we get back to the base, or the hideout, I should say. And I could cut out the travel time and all that, but as I've stated before, and I do still stand behind it, I don't want to do anything off camera. So and that's because I think I've said this before, but I don't want to, you know, have anyone have like any potential idea that I've added stuff to my inventory off camera or anything like that. So I want to have it all in one recording. Everything that I do in the save will be on video. But yeah, I just kind of want to make sure everything's documented and stuff. Do like a full proper playthrough, and also having that mindset will keep me from being tempted to add stuff off camera too. So that was at Pirate Station. I managed to hit the right button to show that tag like right before it disappeared. I think we shouldn't miss that asteroid in front of us here. I think. And what I'm thinking for the second hideout, when we do get around to building another one, we probably want to have that be about 100 to 150 kilometers away from our current hideout. Just so that way, going back and forth between them, we have a good chance of getting some beacons to pop in right around when we start getting close to that base. That unknown signal, yeah, we're not going to stop for that. But that new battery did add quite a bit of lifespan overall to our power, so that's pretty good. In fact, I might be able to turn that beacon back on, but I'm not going to though, but I could. I don't know why I'm thinking about this now, but I remember a comment about adding a ore detector to the ship. I think I've talked about it before, but there's really no need because I'm not going to be mining any other materials other than ice. And like, I don't need a detector to find ice because there are asteroids around. I don't see any right now, but I know that they do exist, asteroids that are just ice. So all we need to do for that is just find an asteroid that's made purely of ice and then mark a GPS on it, and we pretty much have more ice than we could ever run through just off of a single large asteroid. So I don't see any need to actually place an ore detector on the ship. And I see a station down there on the moon on its surface. I see a little bubble. In fact, I can probably use the binos to zoom in on it a bit more. Well, actually, that's not on the surface. That's the one floating above it. I think that might be the one that we visited before we made our hideout. That was quite a few episodes ago, but almost certain that's the same one. And one thing that I've been thinking about, I don't know if they'll do it or not, but I've definitely been thinking about it, because it would be really cool to do. But if I save up, like, the bodies of the unknown signals, instead of scrapping them down like I have been, like if I go out and collect them and bring them back all in one piece, and get quite a few of them, I could probably weld them together and slap some atmospheric thrusters on there, and then a few ions, and I could probably get down to that station there in the desert on the Earth-like planet and do some trading down there. But like I said, I don't know if I'll actually do that or not. It definitely sounds like a really cool idea, but right now we're kind of stricken on materials. I mean, well, we got a full ship's worth, so that's going to help out a lot, but I kind of want to get a couple more large wrecks. I heard something. Did we hit like a little micro asteroid? I don't see any damage, but I heard a little tick sound. That wasn't great, but anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, it would be nice to eventually get down there to that planet. Maybe a hydrogen ship would be a good idea for that, just to ensure that we could actually get out of the atmosphere again, because a mix of ion and atmospheric might not, if I don't put enough ion on there, or not enough atmospheric, it might not be able to actually make that transition, right? If the ion thrust is too weak and we get to the upper atmosphere, then the atmospheric thrusters will eventually lose power as you get to weaker and weaker gravity, because the atmosphere itself isn't dense enough to allow for the thrusters to produce the thrust. So there's kind of like a tipping point when you're leaving with a like dual atmosphere ion ship, where both of them are going to have really weak output. One will start to get stronger, the other will get weaker and weaker until it has no power. Or at least the atmospheric will eventually have no power once it gets to space, but that's the kind of the downfall of having a battery-only ship, is the tipping point in the atmospheres. If you don't have enough of one or the other, you can kind of get stuck, and then you'll have to bring the ship back down and find a way to get material to fix that issue, either by adding more atmospheric or adding more ion. Either way, it's going to be a pain in the ass, though, if you get into that situation. We're starting to get a little bit closer now, finally. It's been kind of a long trip. It probably ate up most of the episode just getting back. When we do get back to the hideout and get situated pretty close to the actual structure of it, hopefully not hitting anything. Got my fingers crossed on that. I'll just move everything over by hand. Eventually I do want to get a connector on here, probably on the side there. Well, no, I can't actually, never mind. Shit. I'll have to think about where I want the connector then. Maybe on the bottom. I could grind off one of those armor blocks and replace it with a connector. But I do want to have a connector on here so that way I can like unload everything to the base or the hideout a whole lot quicker. And there was that tick again. I don't know what that was, but I don't like that sound. And it could just be like ambient ship travel sound, but I don't like the way it sounded. It sounded like something banging into part of the ship. I think probably the first thing I'm going to do with all these new components is immediately throw them into the assembler and break it all down and try to extract as much iron as I can and just like print out a shit ton of steel plate, because I want to have the armor finished before I start to want anything else. And once all that's done, then we can start producing more components like the motors and stuff like that, and start actually having a stockpile of parts. But until this armor's done, I would prefer to have all the iron I can extracted out of it and put into the plates for the armor. Because this ship being the only survival kit I have being on this ship, it's kind of the entire lifeline of this playthrough. So the more armor I can slap on here, the better, because that directly increases my survivability of attacks and crashes and stuff like that. The only exception is I will use up all the uranium I have, which I think is 0.20 grams of uranium. I'm going to use that immediately for shells if I even have enough for one. But that's immediately going to go towards artillery shells. That will take up some of the iron, but not any substantial amount. That asteroid right there might be made of ice. That definitely looks like it. The texture is like way different from the stone. Like even the lighter colored asteroids, this one here is completely different. So I think that is ice. Maybe not though, because that's the big one that we were at earlier, right? Before we decided to make the base of this one. So maybe it is just weird looking, but it's like that's a light colored asteroid. That's more of like a bluish gray sort of one there, and this one just looks completely different. Maybe it is just rendered weird, I don't know. But it definitely looks like ice. Also, I'm just now looking at the weight of the ship overall. Right now we're sitting at 615 million grams. Or no, that's 615 billion grams, because it's in kilograms, so 1,000, 100,000, that would be a million grams. Yeah, so that's like 615 billion grams. God, that would be a whole lot of coke. Okay, no, that's not ice. It just really looked like it from where it was rendered at. I think, yeah, that must be the one that tricked me before we found a base over the hideout over here. There's gotta be some ice around here somewhere though, but we're not gonna worry about focusing on that for a while until we can get some more stuff built up first. Switching over to hydrogen is going to be far more efficient as far as like the thruster to weight ratio that we're going to need to achieve for fighting, but honestly I'm not even sure if I want to do any hydrogen fighters for this, because if the connectors get messed up, then the engines lose fuel, and that's not good. So I think ion might be the way to go for the fighters in this playthrough, because they're much more resilient in terms of like the mobility being taken out. So, no beacons on the way back, apparently. Aside from the station that we found. But that was like pretty much as soon as we had turned around. So, might need to put the hideouts a bit further away, probably about 150 kilometers instead of 100. But, still, that was a pretty good run. Came back with full cargo, and actually had enough cargo for that entire bit of scrap. So that was worked out pretty well. Now that we have the materials, we can get to some work. But in fact, let me check and see. Yeah, we got 8 minutes left, so that's pretty much it for this episode. I'm going to make sure that we get back safe and sound and get that in the recording, as well as maybe start moving some of the components over to the actual base. If I remember correctly, we went straight out from where we were parked at, so we should be able to just come straight back in and be right on top of the actual structure we placed down on this asteroid. But we're going to slow down now that we're getting under a kilometer. Yeah, okay. So I see the solar array there, so we can come in more like this. And we should be able to get pretty close to the side that we were parked at before. Not that it really matters, but I do like to have a degree of consistency in where I park my ships. I guess it's sort of like a kind of an OCD sort of tendency. Kind of keep things the same instead of like coming in and parking the ship just wherever. I don't particularly like to do that. Okay, we'll bring it down to about 5 meters a second and start rotating a little bit here. And turn that back on. Rotate some more. Should come to a stop. Yep. And then I can do some micro adjustments to get a bit closer once we get the right orientation here. Right there should be good. And we're going to go ahead and convert to station. And then go here. And toggle thrusters off. And check and see to do all the thrusters. It did. Okay, so that's good. And then we want to turn the gyro. Where are you at? Did I hide the gyro? Did hide the gyro for some reason. There we go. Yeah, that should be good. Okay. So we're back at the base. We got tons of components and stuff. I'm gonna move over the hand tools and stuff like that first, just to get this out of the inventory. I gotta drag that, unfortunately. And I can put one of these in. And just drill. Just to get that out the inventory. The power and health kits can go back in storage and base credits. The tanks I don't really need anymore now. Take one oxygen. and 1 hydrogen. There we go. And now we can start moving components over, which is probably going to take a minute. Yeah, we have 0.2 of the uranium and we need 0.03 per artillery shell, so we should be able to make a decent amount of munition now. So that was actually a really good find. I'm glad we got that uranium. I don't know what we actually got that from though. I think it might have been the drone. When it blew up, the inventory might have survived. Because it was just a floating container right around where I died. That first mine drone in the previous episode. The one that scared the fuck out of me. But, yeah. Guess I can try to get everything moved over before the end of the episode, I suppose. It's pretty boring. The next episode's also going to be very boring. We're going to be breaking components down into raw resources and then transmuting those resources into steel plate. So that's going to take a lot of time and be very obnoxious to watch. But, you know, as always, you have the option of clicking off the video, so I don't feel too bad about that. I mean, I do a little bit, but you know, like I said, I've explained a few times now, I'm not going to do anything off camera, so boring episodes, here we come. God, those fucking, what is that? Bulletproof glass? That shit's heavy as fuck. God damn. I want to carry about 400 of those. I mean, it's not as bad as like the girders or the large or small steel tubes, but God, that's still pretty bad. I think the worst thing for weight actually is the radio components for beacons and antennas and such. We do have a good bit of starting steel plate here, so should be able to, like at the start of the next episode, I should be able to get a decent amount of blocks put together while we wait for these components to break down into raw material. We're starting to get there. Making some pretty good progress. I think we're on the there we go. I have to let go of the mic button to do that. That messes with my left mouse click for some reason. But yeah, I'm starting to get kind of tired now. I haven't been to sleep since I got home from work, so, you know, that's fun. I think we've got everything cleared out now, yeah. The ice can stay, as well as the munitions, but that is everything rolled over, and I think that's going to be it for this episode. So we're going to save, exit the main menu and save, and I'm going to go ahead and end this recording, and the other one, episode 9, should already be finished uploading. I think it's around 30 minutes, a little bit less, for me to upload a 1-hour video. So that one should be done, and I can get this one uploading, and then I'll head off to bed, and we'll get a couple more episodes out tomorrow. Maybe 1, maybe 2, we'll see. It all, like, my whole recording schedule just depends solely on how I feel. Like, if I'm not feeling it, I'm not gonna make any episodes. One thing that I could do, I suppose, is record a bunch of episodes and then set them up to premiere at certain times and kind of like cheat my way into some sort of semblance of like schedule. But I really don't care enough to do that. So new episodes come out whenever they come out. That's about it. I'm gonna try to, you know, make it a daily thing and get into the habit of putting videos out consistently. But like I said, it's all based on just how I feel. So it is what it is. I'm gonna go ahead and end this recording for now, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, bye.